I feel like a little boy who's just been given his first guitar. Look what just dropped in my studio. It's the Thayil Polara from Guild. And in this video, I'm going to unbox it, I'm going to play it, I'm going to take a very close look at the build quality and review it. And by the end of the video, you should know whether this is the guitar for you or not. That was extremely well packed, and I am very, very happy to say that there is lots of protective packaging in there. Now this guitar is coming in just shy of €1,000, so I'm really happy to see that they've packed it beautifully. That is the best packaging I've ever seen on an electric guitar that doesn't come with a case or bag. Oh, look at that. There it is, peeking through the little bag. Well, speaking of little bags, we've got something else. I like the Guild little tagline, made to be played. What's in here? We've got some stickers, nice, an owner's manual, and an Allen key for the truss rod, and a handy little pouch to keep things in. We've got some yummy, yummy, yummy silica gel, and a guide on how to adjust the truss rod. So let's stop talking about the packaging and actually take the guitar out. Oh my goodness, come on. Right. Oh, headstock poking out. There it is. There it is. I am notoriously bad at dealing with these bags. But, oh yeah, see, the horn's coming through there. That's the danger of a double-horned guitar, you see. It's going to poke everything. Weight feels good. Weight feels, I'm going to say it, like an SG. And that's not where the similarities stop, of course. Nice to see a little protective cover on the switch. That is a good switch. Straight in, that is one of the best and fanciest switches I've ever seen. That's pretty standard, good, but that one. So yes, this is the Polara, the Thayil from Soundgarden and other projects' signature. And the neck feels kind of Gibson Slim 60s. I was hoping for a thicker one. Tuners are Grover, sorry. We've got some Thayil stuff on the back. And round on the front, we've got the pickup selector that I've already waxed lyrical about. We've got a phase selector switch. We've got 2 volumes and 2 tones, output jack, 2 humbuckers, and this kind of weird Guild tailpiece stop thing that's heavily screwed to the body. There's some little blobs of gold there, some gold dot markers. I've never ever seen that on a guitar before. Now the Polara was a model from the 70s, and Thayil and Guild have been trying to make a signature model for many, many years and got there, well, almost got there many times, and they've finally done it. I'm just trying to figure out where it's been made because the serial number would indicate that it's made in Indonesia. There's nothing on the box as far as I can see. Unless it's on the bottom. It is on the bottom. Indonesia. Right, okay. Again, not that it matters that much, but now we know what sort of ballpark we're sitting in price-wise and components-wise. It's loud, unplugged. Got some lovely behind the bridge little notes. Oh, that's cool. I've never noticed that if this is a Thayil thing or a Polara thing, but this bell-shaped truss rod cover is upside down. I'm going to tune it, let you know what the tuners feel like, and if it stays in tune, if there's any pinging or anything, then we'll plug it into the Mesa. The tuner's great, but I was getting some binding on the nut and it was pinging as I was tuning, so I just added some nut sauce. So a little bit of that and the pinging went away straight away. I'm going to just turn it on and see what happens with bridge, middle, and then neck pickups. Everything on 10 and this switch down. Okay, that sounds, it's a bit noisy that. That sounds fat on that neck pickup, really nasally and pokey in the middle position, and that bridge is just thrashy and lovely. But yes, very much yes. I'm going to do my top 5 tones, which is going to include some 𝗤𝗢𝗪𝗪 riffs from Soundgarden and the likes of, and then I'll see if it can actually play as a, non-𝗤𝗢𝗪𝗪 guitar as well. So let's go for something. Let's go for my favorite Soundgarden riff first. And that requires me to tune this string down to B. I feel like a little boy who's just been given his first guitar. I love that riff. That's holy water. And tuning that down to B is giving the guitar a little bit of problems, to be honest, but it's handling it pretty darn well. And the first thing I noticed is how much of that behind the bridge resonance you get. That's all over that. Hang on, where's the amp? I keep turning it off because it's noisy. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm just imagining it. I think it's there. Great first riff and great feeling guitar. I felt instantly at home. It feels like a lot of this sort of shaped guitars that I'm used to. It feels, I think, a bit heavier than the guitars I'm used to. I'm interested when we put it on a strap how it's going to perform. It doesn't feel like what I expect less than the custom shop version to be. So there's an American-made version. These pickups are so clear and so knackig in German, so crunchy, that I love the tone. And of course I would love to play the made in America custom shop, I don't know, 4,000, 4 times as expensive as this, I think it is. But that is enough for me. All right, I'm going to put it back in possibly standard tuning and we'll try another Soundgarden riff, something maybe more mainstream. So I've got the HX1 in there doing a rotary speaker, which is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But what I wanted to check was, is the guitar playable up here? Because I don't go up that dusty end very often. And it is. And even for me, with my massive fingers, they fit in there. It feels very comfortable. It feels very natural. And I don't know how big 𝗤𝗢𝗪𝗪 is, but if you're as big as me, 6'3", then you'll be fitting this nicely. If you've got smaller fingers, that's going to work even better. I'll put it in the middle position and we'll go in phase and then out of phase. So in phase first. I don't know if that's usable. I know that's not the original tone. It's probably more bridge pickup, but it's different. It gives you this sort of nasally tone that you'd expect from out of phase, and it's there. And I don't have that on many other humbucker equipped guitars, so I'm very happy with that. I've fallen in love with this, and I don't want to give it back. Oh man, it's a grunge machine. Let's see if it does stuff other than grunge and Soundgarden. Let's see if we can get some classic rock tones out of it. I've switched over to the Fender Deluxe Reverb now, which is nice and clean. And let's kick in some super overdrive. There's an angriness to this guitar that I don't think my Gibson SG has. I'm going to quickly switch to the SG to hear the difference. All right, they're both as angry, but the Guild has more bottom end. It's more full, and this is more raspy. on that setting, I prefer the Guild. That's worrying. I really thought this was like a low-end, high-output pickup system, and now it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be more sort of low-mid-range. I want to go clean and then have a listen to this phase switch. So this is in phase. Oh! Okay, that's quite a jump. More a jump than I was expecting, because when that was distorted, that didn't sound as night and day, but... Also, that switch is a little bit dirty. It needs a bit of flicking. Hang on. Yeah, that's not the sort of thing I'd want to switch mid-song. Okay, not really happy about that switch, but this one's brilliant. That one, not a fan of. All right, let's see if it does blues. It's not the most subtle of guitars, and it's unapologetically so. You could play anything with this, as you could any guitar, but I think this really excels at what it's designed for, which is 𝗬𝗢𝗨 sort of sounds. And when doing that, when holding this guitar and playing some of those riffs, I feel extra special. And I didn't get that when I played like the Gibson SG, for example. I felt like I was playing a good guitar, but with this, I feel like I'm playing the right guitar. But let's see if it's built well. I'm going to open it up, take a look inside, and we'll see how Guild and Indonesia are doing. Let's check out the output of the pickups. We've got the bridge, which is coming in at around almost 7. And then the neck is, again, 6.98, around 7. So they're pretty well matched. And then in the middle should be half of that. So 3.5-ish. Fantastic. Now let's take a look at what they've done inside. Notice how well that's cut. That is cut much better than I've seen on most Epiphones and even some Gibsons. But it does mean I'm having trouble getting it out. Whew, right, that wasn't easy. So we've got 4 large pots in here, and they are Jin Sung from Korea, and they're very shiny, so I don't know if you can see that writing. Then we've got a pretty standard output jack. It's not switchcraft or anything like that, but it's doing its job nicely. I had no issues. Then the pickups are 4 cable. That one is at least. Where's the other one? Down there. Yeah, they're both 4 cable, so you could split those pickups if you wanted. And then surprisingly, the Super Deluxe switch just looks like a normal switch on the inside. On the outside, it's amazing to use and looks glorious, but on the inside, it's just a switch. They've painted the inside of the cavity. Is that? Yeah, it is. Hello. That is also shielded, so you've got a little bit of shielding going on here. The soldering looks good. It's a good job. It's a great job. So that's exactly what I'd be hoping for in a guitar that costs as much as this does. In fact, that should be on every guitar. There's no really excuse for the routing on that. One thing I do want to draw to your attention with this close-up camera, we need to take a look at this backplate because it's a little bit scratched from me just sitting and playing with it, which is strange. And then the signature is raised slightly. I can feel it with my finger. But this logo from 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 is underneath some sort of finish. So maybe that's got a lacquer spray on it, and then that's why it's scratched. I've checked to see if there's some more plastic film on there, and I can't find any. But yeah, that might wear off at some point. I don't think this will as easily as that will. Over on the front, you can see that I've been playing it quite a lot because you've got all these finger marks on that shiny, glossy black paint job. The gold hardware looks superb against this black. And I love the fact that this tailpiece is screwed right to the body, which is possibly or probably adding to that sustain. Got a pretty standard looking bridge just there. The pickups, they've got two little screws there on both sides. Have they? No. One screw on that side, two screws on that side, meaning you can adjust it, I guess, that way, and then just one that. That's odd. I've never seen that before. And then this is kind of, for me, absolutely glorious. There's that switch again, which we've now found out is a normal switch, but feels great. Then we've got this switch that I'm not much of a fan of, but it does its job. And then these are absolutely outstanding. These 70s sort of ribbed knobs. I absolutely love them. I think they look brilliant. And then there's the output jack over there. Let's take a look at the fretboard and fret ends. So it's rosewood with blocks. I love it. Fret ends are great. I've had no issues whatsoever. The frets themselves, good. Out of the box, great. Always could do with the polish. And then onto the nut, it's almost perfect. You've got no gaps, no excess glue, no tooling marks, nothing like that. An excellent job of the nut. I'm going to open that up in a moment to see what's inside. That's often hiding some little secrets. Headstock looks glorious. And then the tuners are Grovers, as I said earlier, and they feel, for some reason, higher quality than I'm used to. So far, there's absolutely nothing to complain about. The build quality is excellent, but let's check those fret ends. Nothing? Oh, caught a little bit there. I don't know if you heard it. There are some lines on that. So I'd say that's an 8 out of 10 if I was scoring it. No, 8.5, let's be fair. And this is going over the top, but I do want to take off that truss rod cover to have a look inside it. It's not an indicator of a bad guitar. It's an indicator of a great guitar if that's clean in there, because they've taken the time to really do the stuff that you can't see. So it's fairly clean. I've seen worse, I've seen better, but that is exactly what I expect it to be at this price point. I'm happy with that. So I can report that this Thayil Guild Polara is built exceptionally well. There are zero technical issues. Everything feels professional. Everything feels expensive. The only issue with playability was the nut was a little bit binding, and this is a typical 3-in-line headstock issue. So that lube on the nut just fixed it. It doesn't do it anymore. I've had zero issues since then. Tuning is absolutely rock solid. Pots and everything feel and look professional. I guess I don't like that switch there. I feel like that switch could have had a bit more spent on it, but then again, I don't know if many people are going to be using it. When it comes to sounds, this is a beast. It's a riff monster. These pickups are full and fat and thrashy in the bridge and round and warm in the neck without being too flubby. Let's measure the nut, actually. It feels around a sort of 43, but let's find out with my gauge. On you go, onto the nut. And there we go. 43.18. So in kilos, we are looking at 3.6 kilos, and that in pounds is 7.14. Let's put that up against my SG, because that seems quite heavy. The SG is 3.1 in kilos, which is 6.12 in pounds. And the Polara body seems thicker than my SG, so that maybe that's why it's heavier. We've got 36, let's call it 37 millimeters. And then on the SG, we're looking at 36. Did I really just feel the difference of 1 millimeter? That's insane. What? 35 around there. 35. So that's 35, that's 37. 2 millimeters, but there seems to be more of the body if I hold them side by side. Hang on. There. Yeah. I mean, I can feel just holding them that one's heavier. It's not really a fair comparison to compare it to an SG, because even though it looks like one, it's more Les Paulish, if that makes sense. Maybe that's to do with the weight. I have no idea. But that is a doomier guitar than that one. That's a rockier guitar, if that makes any sense. Okay, so finally, let's put it on a strap and jump around, I'm using a D'Addario strap that is absolutely not suede, so it's a little bit slippery, which is what I like testing guitars with. Yeah, it's gonna go. It feels comfortable though. I think like that, and you're playing it, that you're gonna have no issues. If you're gonna jump around and not hold it, it's gonna tip. Yeah. Right. Let's do good, bad, and ugly. All right. First, the good. If you're a 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗪 or Soundgarden fan, you are not going to be disappointed. This is a fantastically playing, fantastic sounding, and fantastically well built guitar. I am absolutely in love with it, and I never was in the past, because I guess the bad is, if you're not into Soundgarden or 𝗬𝗪𝗪𝗪, you might think this is a cheap knockoff SG. But it isn't, because it's its own thing. And I always thought this was someone trying to copy an SG and not doing a very good job. Turns out it isn't. It's its own beast, and I actually think it's more tonally and weight-wise more Les Paul than SG. And the pickups in this is supposed to be the bad. There isn't much bad, but the pickups in this are fantastic. The ugly, I think the ugliness is a potential ugliness, and that is that this phase switch doesn't feel like the best switch possible, so maybe in a few years you might need to switch that out. I've had zero issues with it. I have a feeling about it. Everything else, I can't knock it. That's really, really picking on it. Finally, another plus point is the gold hardware doesn't look cheap. It's not that cheap yellowy gold that you get on some guitars. It looks like money's been spent on it, so well done, Guild. And aside from the fact that I don't really want to put it down, that's all I need to tell you about this guitar. I had high hopes for it, and I am absolutely not disappointed. I am the opposite of disappointed. I'm appointed. Right, there are links to this guitar in the video description and first comment should you want more information or purchase prices in your area. There's a subscribe button in there if you want more from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!